Okay, I think we are going. Just going to make sure it's all good. Oh yeah, that delay is really not much. Yes, can hear myself. Good, and right, after absolutely no complications whatsoever, we're off. Now let's catch up on what's been going on. Pole time at the moment, 1:33.4. It's a rather big gap, but you know, it's 11 minutes to go, everyone still has time. Quite a lot of people in the pits. Ah, here we are. So we joined Matusiak. I'm going to pronounce so many names wrong today. Watching Matusiak going down the back straight, just get on board with him. So that sun is so bright in this game. Going to break around the 100 metre board, locks up a little bit. Still getting nicely though. Okay. Doing quite tight through that corner, accelerating nicely. Really wide entry. Oh, we've missed that apex. Could just be a wider line now. We'll see what the times are like as I get this. Let's get all that data on. Full track back. Has he run out of fuel? He's run out of fuel. That wasn't even his lap. Alright, we've got plus 50. We're in the same corner as well. Is he going to fit? Yes, it is. Right, is there anyone on an actual lap? Come on. Yes, that's a purple first sector. He's got to be on an actual lap. Yeah, he's clearly pushing a lot harder. I did wonder why he didn't look as fast as Williams was, so I don't know what that was his own lap. Get the spectator menu off. This is his first lap. It's purple in the first sector, so he doesn't look like he's going for much of a banker. Flattening that orange curve, getting that turned in nicely. I mean, he's hit the curve there. Let's see what line he takes. Yeah, a lot tighter than the lap and go. Oh! I was about to compliment him on his line, but I guess that's just the commentator's curse at work. That'll definitely be the end of that. Let's see what we've got. Jacob here, he's in second, so he's got some pace.
Well, I hope Fraser you enjoyed the stream and all of the viewers are enjoying the new commentator of PC F2. Well, actually really pleasant voice. But I've got a little bit of an issue to solve. Can you go into in-game settings and lower the main game volume?
Oh yeah. It's quite loud for me, so I couldn't hear you quite well in the voice. Settings. Audio. Master volume 7 do?
I'll check on that.
I'll go like 5, yeah, that should be.
Yeah, 5 should be good.
Yeah, that's much better. I can actually hear my own voice now. Back to it. Because I was on the settings, I didn't see the purple sector, but he looks to still be on it, so I'll assume he's still on a flying lap. Might get some traffic, but you're going to have to get out of the way if you're not on a flying lap. Apex is nicely hit there. Yeah, car behind's definitely on an in.
You can even go with 2.
Then for that, I'll finish this lap and then I'll don't
okay.
Hit 1. Could have been a bit tighter there. Might have lost some time. The car in front doesn't seem to have given him any trouble, but that's all. That should be invalid, but I don't think he's gained time around the final corner. What's the time going to be? 33.7. Quite like that time, 33.7. Very rolls off the tongue quite nicely. But anyway, settings. Well, they'll be as quick as possible so we don't get held up. 2. Right, that should be... Is that good? Yeah, he's invalidated his next lap if he was planning on going for a next lap. Let's see who else. Zaron has just gone purple in the second sector. Obviously, I know the game does have some glitches with it saying people are purple when they're not purple and all, but we're going to assume it was for the sake of the stream. He's purple in the second sector. Nice. Are they going a bit wide, or is that just a better line than the one I'm used to doing? That's nice. He's kept it in the track, something that the last one was not able to do. The final corner on the power early, it is 34-0, so who knows, maybe his first sector was not as up to scratch. Who else is on a lap? We've got Phaser, is that flying lap? I can't tell because I've not got the revs very loud on my ear. We'll see on the sector time now, he's 4 seconds off. That's not a flying lap. What track is this? That's definitely not flying lap, that's not. Who's on laps? People, come on. This guy? No, definitely not. Alright, this is the one who tricked me into thinking he was on a flying lap before. As we're around the final corner. Look, this could be in the 33s. Nah. 134.8 puts him 9th out of 18, so quite a full grid today. We'll see how many of them are still remaining after all of the laps are done, though. We have the McLaren, who's I think he's bogged down a bit in that corner, but we'll soldier on with the lap. We'll see the time, the delta of the first sector. Actually, no, we won't, because I don't know where the sector lines are. Taking a lot of curb there. Don't know if that's advisable, because sometimes if you run over a curb on an acceleration zone, it can really mess with the car's traction, but he seems to have got away with it. Yeah, taking a lot of curb there. I think that might have locked him up a little bit there, a bit like the curb at turn 3 in Baku on the last game in 2021. And right to the inside on that curb, then right to the outside, back inside. I really like that. It's a nice corner when you get it right, not when you get it wrong, though. I think he's carried ample speed through there. Can we keep it in the lines? Yes, indeed. Oh. Anybody on an actual lap? Come on. Nope, he's invalidated. He's also invalidated. That's not flying lap pace. Alright, these revs sound like a flying lap. Nope. Or maybe he was. Yeah, that's definitely not. I guess it's kind of the dry spell when a lot of people aren't out on the laps because they want the tow from everyone else and the track evolution when they go out on their final run. So this is the time I always like to go on my final run because you just get the whole track to yourself. So you might see some people going with the same tactic as that, but maybe I'm just strange. Maverick on an out lap. Yeah, starting to see some people coming out for the final laps. The trick is, if you're going to do the tactic I just mentioned, you gotta be decisive about it, because if you leave it too late, you're not going to get free space at all, because all the people will be coming out on their out laps for the next one. So we'll see if he gets affected by that. Let's go on the off-car cameras for this lap. We're gonna see. Hopefully he does not do that on his flying lap. Am I bugging, or did that say out lap and now it suddenly doesn't? I swear that said out lap. Maybe the game was just going too early. Anyway, he's on his lap now. I'm going to make a prediction of, let's see. I'm going to assume that he made a mistake on his last lap, so I really don't know where the Alpine's going to be placed by the end of this. I'm going to say P6. I've got good faith in this lap. As we come round this sector, which always feels really slow, so it's hard to judge if you've done it well, if you don't have the delta there. And if he did make a mistake on his last lap, his delta might be a little bit deceptive, so he won't have a good idea of where he is. The DRS is now... I've gone way too early for that. Open. As they're coming down the back straight now. Just watching for any traffic. Yeah, I don't think he's gonna... Unless someone really slows it down, he's not going to get affected by too much traffic. There's the AlphaTauri in front, and then there's the Red Bull, but we should be able to get an unobstructed last sector. Yeah, I'm not really liking these off-board cameras because you don't get a good feel for the apexes and the speed. Takes a bit of curb on the exit there. And we're going to go very far to the inside there. Might go a little bit wide on the exit. Yeah, I think he's gone a bit wide on the exit. Takes a lot of curb in there. He's not kept it within the lines, but the game hasn't noticed because it's not invalidated him. And it's going to be... yeah, maybe he has made a mistake when I was on the spectator cameras, because I definitely would have noticed if he had. Because we got a new pole time from the Haas of a 1:33.3. That might be hard to beat, but we're going to see. I think pretty much everyone's on the lap. We're going to watch. Ooh. Let's watch this unpronounceable name coming down the back straight now. Towards the sun, quite hard to see where you're going, but that doesn't matter because it's a straight. And a break between the 150 and the 100 metre boards, nails the apex. Taking a bit much curve on the exit. I certainly wouldn't like to be taking that much curve. It's a purple second sector from the Alfa Romeo, going inside, outside, and sweeping back to inside for this corner that sometimes feels a little bit sluggish, as we haven't the first people are starting to cross the line for the final time. Got 1, 2, 3 people who have finished the session. There's a Haas, I think either spun or just getting out of the way. I didn't see because I'm watching this lap, which could be full time. We're sub 130 on the apex. He's messed that up a little bit. It's going to be P3. Who knows? Maybe he is running a lower downforce setup, and that's why he was purple in the first sector. A new pole time of a 33.2 from Quyll. Let's see this Haas, who was on pole but has just had taken from him. Nice. That's definitely not a flying lap he's paying. Let's see. Yeah, we'll keep on going with this McLaren just so we can see the fastest ones possible, as some people are starting to retire. These are definitely going to be the final laps we see in the qualifying before we get into the main event. The McLaren of Foster is currently sitting at 1:34.1, so he's going to need to make up quite a considerable amount of time if he wants to get anywhere near the front. Let's see as we go around the final corner, what's the time going to be? It's a slight improvement. It puts him up one. Did it put him up one place? I don't remember whether it put him up one place, but he's P8 nonetheless. And I will be able to bring the final grid to you in a few seconds. Alrighty, we've got... So Red Bull and Haas 1-2. We've got Quyll with a 1:33.2. Dramati with a 1:33.3. And it's quite a considerable gap in qualifying terms back to the Alpha of Ziemianchuk. Hope I did that right. Another 1:33.6. And it's Samelski, Kicklin, Zaron, Fazer, Fossifor, Maki, Hexwin Antec, Pietrek, Matusiak, Reshing, Laggy Racer. Hopefully that's not true because I don't want any desync issues on my first time commentating. Camilons, Crush 50 Maverick, and Fitterchimera rounds out the grid in the AlphaTauri. Right, just taking a little breather between the end of qualifying and the formation lap. I think formation lap's on, I don't know. I do wonder what the best strategy is going to be here. Is it going to be to start on the mediums? Is it going to be to start on the hards? Is it going to be something completely different if there is a safety car which shakes it up at an odd time? Or is there going to be a safety car that favours one of the strategies massively by being caused on the lap that they would pit? You might even see some people starting on... You might see some people on even a 2-stop if they're being super aggressive, but we are off because there is no formation lap. And the Red Bull is able to hold his position into turn 1. There's some people going off in the background. Everybody has made it through turn 1 without spinning, but now we've got the S section where you don't really want to be going side by side, so let's hope they're all single file by now. There's somebody cutting the corner there, maybe having to take evasive action. But after the first sector, it is Curly, Dormati and Jimanchuk who has made up. Has he made up a place? Curly has managed to build 9 tenths on the car in second because I think Dormati had a bit of a problem exiting the hairpin and he's already out of the DRS. So this, if nothing drastic happens and he keeps it up at this pace, this race is looking pretty good for the Red Bull. We're going to be watching this battle between the two Haas's and an Alfa Romeo, which seems to be, as there is a spin for Phaser in the back of the grid, that's the Alpine. I think also involved is the Alpha Tauri. Maybe he might have been also involved in the spin, or maybe he just got caught up by a spinning car. Maybe the ghosting. There was a problem with the ghosting. But the Red Bull has managed to keep his 1 second gap as we progress through the third sector. We've got this McLaren and this Alpha Tauri who might have just got a warning, but the track limits are quite inconsistent in that last corner. Let's see. There's no DRS for the first 2 laps, obviously. We'll be able to see if the McLaren can do anything to challenge Samelski into turn 1. Not quite yet. Zulors, the AlphaTauri, gets quite close to the back, but no contact now, it's all fine. Let's see what's going on further. At the back there's a Ferrari without a wing, who's not pitted. And I doubt that he got that damage on the straight, so it's an odd decision not to pit from the Ferrari of Crush 50. We've also obviously got the Alpine that spun here. It's not actually that far off the back of the pit. Dormati has retired from, I think it was 2nd place. What's going on with his car? Yeah, I think that's just a crash. Maybe we don't know if there was contact. But it's just typical that the second that I go off of that camera, there's a crash. So yeah, hopefully the drivers involved will have clips if there's anything to report, because unfortunately it was not caught on the stream. But that promotes Jimanchuk up into 2nd. I'm going to be going with that pronunciation for the rest of the race. And then Samelski a little bit further back in 3rd. But Curly is now only 4 tenths ahead of 2nd, so we might be seeing it getting challenged into the first corner, or maybe even. How long was that safety car out without me noticing? I was so focused on re-evaluating the order that I did not notice that the safety car came out. So, I mean, the point still stands though. We might see a win overtake for the lead at the first corner, so I'm not wrong. Yeah. Let's see, is anybody going to pit? Yes, Matusiak is pitting from the hard tyres, so maybe he's going to be going medium. We'll stay on board with it, but see what tyres he's going on to. He is going on the mediums. We've also got the Ferrari, obviously, who didn't have a wing in the pits. Going on to the soft tyres, so taking quite an attacking approach to these first laps. I don't think there have been too many big changes in the front, except for the crash of Dormati. It's still Curly out in the front. Then it's Jimanchuk, Samelski, Foster Zaran, Antek, Kikrelin, Laggy Racer, Maki and Pietrek making out the top 10. Someone just spun under the safety car. Oh, it's Dimanchuk. Ooh. So while I was running down the ORAD, maybe he's been taking evasive action from someone braking hard on the safety car. Maybe he's just dropped it, a bit like Grosjean and Baku. Either way, he's now down in 14th, so that's going to be a bit of a bummer for him, especially since it did not happen under racing conditions. So, if it was just a crash on his own, it's almost a little bit worse than having to have it happen in racing conditions, because these are almost some free laps. So to throw away the positions in these free laps is very, very annoying. Will it be in this lap? It might be in this lap, but it might just be waiting for the Ferrari to catch up. No, I think it would have been made clear if it was going already. I think right on cue, the safety car is coming into the... Is it? He seemed to brake. Nah, maybe he was just braking a little bit harder. And it seems like we are out for another one lap. Maverick has got a 5-second penalty. I think his car's been ghosting for basically the entirety of the safety car, so maybe he's having some lag issues. We don't know. The stewards will deal with any penalties though, obviously. Yeah, let's get the tyre info up. I feel like that's going to be quite important, given the fact that if there's one safety car, there might well be another. So everybody is on mediums, except for Crush 50, who is on the softs, and Jimanchuk, who is on hards, who is pitting also. Maybe he got damaged when he spun under the safety car. Or maybe he has just dropped to the back and he's taking his chances by switching up the strategy while he can. As 2 people have left the session, I hope we've not got desync issues in my first race commentating. That would just add complications that I don't want. I'm already clueless enough, given that I didn't notice the safety car was out for that amount of time. I feel like these opening lap safety cars, they don't tend to affect people's strategies as much, because it's not like safety cars in the middle of the race or at the end, which totally throw the race strategies open wide. Because we tend to just, the most it will really affect anyone, unless they want to really go for a gamble, is that they might extend their strategies a few laps more. Now that is something you can do, because obviously you're saving tyres under the safety car, so you might be able to go a few laps longer than you were planning to, and then get a shorter stint at the end so you can push harder. The safety car is in this lap. I was wondering if I hadn't seen the message last lap, because my game has been having an issue, where it sometimes doesn't give me the on-screen messages like that for corner cutting warnings as well. As we're going to see the Red Bull back in the pack up quite considerably, as he's... It always gives me great anxiety when you see all these guys bunching up. Their Alpine's still ghosting, so I'm wondering if maybe his computer's having a problem, or maybe it is just my spectator mode game being glitchy. Alright. So it will be interesting to see if the Red Bull can hold his nerve on the restart for a second time, because he managed to do that on the race start and build a second's gap. But said gap got thwarted by the safety car. You can see, when is he going to go? I would always go one weave after the last corner, because it kind of catches people out. He's gone already though. Seems to have nailed that. As a spin, I think there's a spin there for, I think it is Zaron in the AlphaTauri. Very annoying to spin on the last corner for a safety car, but the Red Bull has managed to... My voice is going already. My voice is going already, man. The Red Bull has managed to keep the lead from Samelski. There's a bit of a gap, obviously, because of the Constantina effect of the AlphaTauri spinning and everyone having to avoid. So the top 3 are quite a considerable amount ahead of the rest of the field. It's Curly, then Samelski, then Fosafor. We'll see if it stays like that, but you never know who could have pace from behind, or who will be using their ERS more or less at different parts of the race. Let's do a quick ERS check. Let's see how many people have been using it in this first sector. So yeah, Quyll is really using a lot of his ERS to try and pull away. He's almost got the second barrier out already, but not quite. Samelski's also using quite a lot of ERS. Fossifer's saving a bit more. And the Mercedes behind them has actually used even more, which is interesting, considering if I wasn't in the lead, I'd maybe be trying to save a bit more, because it might not be urgent at this point in time. But yes, this might be... He's got another lap to build the second barrier out, so it might not be urgent. He's actually managed to just clear 1 second briefly there. As it is quite a gap forming behind. I wonder if there's been some damage incidents behind, because as you can see here, it's 2.8 seconds from Pietrek to Fraser behind. Then another 3 seconds to Crush 50, so I don't know if these guys have had coming togethers or maybe there's just been a lot of spins. Speaking of spins, we've got Matusiak spinning in the Williams, also taking out the pit bollard, and he will be pitting again. Is it again? Yes, he was one of the ones pitting in the first safety car, so... Oh, he's retiring in the pits. I have to say, I'm not a fan of retiring in the pits this early, because you never know what can happen with other safety cars and all. Back to the front though, and Curly has successfully managed to solidify his more than 1 second barrier, but he is burning through a lot of his ERS quite quickly, which could be a worry if Samelski is saving, which we find out now. No, Samelski's actually used even more. So a lot of these cars are deciding to use their ERS quite soon after the safety car, which I guess it makes more sense for the leaders, because they are trying to build gaps to the rest to solidify their positions in the lead. But it's now 3 seconds from 3rd to 4th, from Fossifer to Antec. So it could be that this is the top 3 we'll be seeing for the rest of the race, if there are no more safety cars. I think the stuff is settling. Oh, I was about to say that stuff is settling down, but we have Quyll in the Alpha Aston Martin, who has managed to spin. But because of the gaps, it's not actually dropped him down that many positions, but it has dropped him a lot of time. And that's the thing, in league races which are this competitive, one spin, you need a safety car to get caught back up. You're not going to win if you have even one spin. Even just one lockup can lose your position that you will struggle to get back for the rest of the race. It's now 1.5 seconds from Curly to the Haas. And then obviously we've got our Mercedes, who's on a bit of an island in 4th. Somebody has left the session, I think. Who has left the session? Oh, I think this Alpha Tauri is having a bit of lag. Yeah, he's left. It says he's left the session when his car is still driving around. Maybe he's having lag. Maybe it's just my game being weird. But yeah, it looks like he's being driven by an AI now. It's a shame for him. Gap there almost 2 seconds at the front, so it looks like if Curly can hold this pace, he's not been as burning on the ERS this lap. So there's another yellow flag. I think that's a Ferrari spinning at the back on his soft tyres, so maybe getting a bit overconfident on his softs and spinning on the exit, I think it was, of the hairpin. Now the gap has stayed a bit stagnant. At 1.9, 1.8 throughout this next sector. So there's another yellow flag, as this time it's the other Aston Martin having a moment. Not as big a moment, I think, as his teammate one lap ago. Today it's not a good day for Aston Martin. So the Ferrari also having a moment there. This is quite an easy track to lose the traction on, so you've got to always be on your toes. One slip and you are, well, not in a wall. There's quite a lot of runoff area, but you will be very far off the track. This Crush 50 has a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. That's not good from him. As so does Antec, who was building a sizable gap. It's now 5 seconds from Antec to the McLaren. Now that gap is not so big because of his penalty, so it's now only effectively 2 seconds, which will give the McLaren a bit of confidence that even if he cannot overtake him on track, he might be able to do it on penalties. as the gap from 3rd to 4th, discounting penalties, is almost the same as the gap from 4th to 5th, so Antec is going to have to find some motivation to keep his concentration, because it's quite easy to just let your mind wander, and then when you're in a position where it's multiple seconds from to the cars in front and behind, and then before you know it, you've maybe spun or lost traction out of a corner, and then you're way down the field. So it's quite easy to lose concentration when you're in a position like Antec. He seems to be handling it well at the moment, bar his 3 seconds. But the gap now 2.2 seconds from 1st to 2nd. We've got Samelski in 3rd, tagging along nicely in the DRS of Philosopher. These two ghosts are inside each other. I mean, that seems like that's how baby ghosts are made, maybe? As Philosopher sets the fastest lap of the race, so he's managed to catch up a little bit to Curly. The gap's still comfortable, but that might just worry the Red Bull a little bit when it comes to the long run, because it seems like Philosopher still does have the pace, if he wants, to catch. And Philosopher still has more ERS than Curly too. Samelski's managed to gain a little bit in the DRS on the first straight. So I don't know, maybe the Haas is just planning on sitting behind a little bit, saving RS, saving tyres, and then when it comes to the pit window, to try and get an undercut. Because, you know, that would be a sensible way to play it, because at this track when there's so much DRS, if you know that the person in front of you has pace, you might as well just sit behind, if you're not that much faster, because it is just going to cause you two to battle and slow each other down. Camillons has a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. That's now both the Ferraris got penalties for corner cutting. Because it's not very good from the Ferraris, penalties wise today, but it is far from over, far from over. It's already on lap 9. Goodness. Feels like it might only be on lap 4, 5 or 6, but I guess the safety car did maybe skew my brain's perception of time. That sounds quite exaggerated. I worded that quite dramatically, but you know what I mean. Gap now 3.6, so maybe Curly is starting to push again. Yeah, he's used a bit more ERS now. But Philosopher was 1.4 seconds off his best lap, so maybe he did have a little bit of a moment, maybe in the S's, maybe in the 3rd sector. But it looks like if he can keep up this pace, that Curly is looking set for a win. But as I said, anything can happen with safety cars mid-race that can throw strategies and the general outlook of the race wide open. Now 5 seconds back to 4th, so the top 3 looking pretty strong, unless there are circumstances like I just mentioned. It's then 4 seconds on track, but 1 second with penalties back to Resching, who's building a gap to the Williams in 6th, and then it's Laggy Racer 2.6 seconds behind that in 7th, with Phaser quite close behind in the Alpine. Then it's Quyll, and then it's Mackie, the 2 spinners of Aston Martin, who is being overtaken by Camillons right now, who will be having to drive hard to make up for his penalty. I wouldn't go for it into that corner, because now Mackie will have the DRS. Will he have the DRS? Yes, he does. I was wondering with the detection zones who would have it. Mackie's already burned through all of his ERS, which might not be the best strategy when it comes to the rest of the race. I guess you can gain a bit of that back in the pit stops though. Now, Jiman Chuk, who qualified, I think it was 3rd he qualified, is not really making that many inroads after his mysterious spin under the safety car, as we've got a yellow flag in these sections. Not sure who it was. I think it was the AlphaTauri having a moment. And just as I say that Jiman Chuk is not making many inroads, he might be able to make a challenge on this AlphaTauri. I guess he's on hard tyres as well. Yeah. Let's see. Any close battles? I'll stay with Jiman Chuk, because he showed his pace in qualifying, so he might be able to pull a move if he can really wrap it up. Oof. X-Win Antec X has got, I need to stop saying his full name, Antec has got another 3-second penalty, which puts Resching in front of him. Obviously not in front of him on track, but in front of him on penalties now. So Reshin will be getting quite confident that if he stays like this, it could get 5th, and he's managed to close the gap a little bit, so could get 4th on track as well. As Crush 50 is pitting again. He might be retiring on track, or he might be pitting again. Oh yeah, he was on the softs. So he will now be going to the end on those hards. It'll be interesting to see how much he can catch, and just where he ends up at the end of the race. Given that he's on such a different strategy to everyone else after the first lap safety car. Oh, second lap safety car, sorry. We've got Jimanchuk not really able to make any challenges on the AlphaTauri, so I'm going to move off of this battle because we have Mercedes and the Alpine, who is already out of ERS, going for it at the 3rd sector. The Mercedes will probably want to stay behind and make a move either at the first corner, and if he can't manage that, oof, and then quite wide after the loss of downforce that's caused by the dirty air, he'll probably want to go for it either here or into the other hairpin. I think he might have made a mistake causing him to lose the place of the Alpine on that lap because he was 2 seconds slower than his previous lap, as Jimanchuk gets a 3-second time penalty, so it's looking like momentum after his spin under the safety car is not really on his side. If I sound like I've got a really sore throat, it's because I do, because I've not talked this much in a long time. We've also got, yeah, Curly is almost out of sight now, a bit like in real life with the Red Bulls. 4.5 seconds to him from Fossifer. Samelski is now out of the DRS of Fossifer, so that might provide a little bit of comfort to the 2nd place spot. Then it is 7, but effectively 13 seconds back to Antec. So Resching is in 4th at the moment. If Pietrek can pick up the pace a bit, he might be in net 5th as well, because that's how much penalties do matter. As the AlphaTauri driver has rejoined the lobby. Unfortunately, his AI has not been keeping up, so he will find himself many seconds behind. Not still inside the ghost. Maybe he is just waiting to take control on the straight. Anyway, as we see the first pit stop, the first non-safety car strategy pit stops from the leaders, we've got Fossifer and Samelski both in the pits, and Antec. They're going from mediums to hards. Nobody going from hards to mediums, which is that's what I tend to do in races when I'm starting at the front. Go hards to mediums. Now that puts Curly on track, 16 seconds in the lead. So he's going to have to either, I think he can just keep going at his normal pace, and I reckon he will be more than fine when it comes to his turn to pit, which is probably, it will probably be this lap but if he is going longer after the wear was saved in the safety car, he might be going on lap 14, 15, maybe even 16. If he doesn't like the hard tyres as much. As there's a yellow flag in sector 3, but I'm not seeing anyone out, thankfully. I think it was the AlphaTauri driver. Maybe he should have just left his AI in the car, and that would have been better, because he seems to have spun. I'll stay on board with Curly to see if he pits this lap. Probably will, but maybe, as I said, under the safety car, he will be trying to go longer. As yes, he does pit. Now let's see where will Fossifer come out, because they've not had much traffic. The AlphaTauri drivers left the session again, so probably is having some serious problems with lag or internet problems. But as we see, Curly stationary right now. The gap, I believe, was around 4 seconds when they came in, so let's see what it is now, maybe 4.6. Yeah, the Red Bull is comfortably out in front. We'll see exactly what the gap is in a couple of seconds once the delta times have caught up. Gap's pretty much the same. It's actually a little bit lower, I believe. But that's what tends to happen with the undercut. So the two front runners still, well, I'll say front runners, still remaining are Laggy Racer and Camelons on the mediums. they'll probably almost certainly be pitting this lap, or maybe even next lap, if they're really trying to minimise the time on the hards, if they don't like the hard tyres that much. As on the cold tyres, Quyll has lost he's lost almost up to a second going through that first sector on cold tyres, because obviously this track is probably one of the worst for doing the first sector on cold tyres, and we know what the cold tyres are like on the hards. It is pretty unbearable at tracks with a lot of corners. Any close battles further down? We've got the Aston Martin and the Alpine. Now when these two cars get together on this straight, it doesn't often go well, but it seems that none of them have gone airborne this time around, and the Aston Martin is passed into turn whatever it is. Should really have learned the turn names before I started the stream, but you know what corner I'm talking about because you can see it on the screen. Phosphor has now set the fastest lap of the race, so he could be on a charge into the second half of the race, because we are past half distance now. Does not feel like we're past half distance, but maybe things go faster when you're commentating. He has only 10% ERS remaining though. Quyll on the other hand has 32, so if it does come down to them battling, Quyll may have the advantage on more battery. Samelski's really fallen off this lap. He's now 3.9 behind, so the top three are really, like, if nothing bad happens, or if nothing safety car like happens, the top three is pretty much set in stone at the moment. But there could always be a spin, there could always be another safety car, there could even be no, lap cars ghost these days. You could lap cars could still distract them. You know, if a lap car blocks your view to an apex, it can cause you to spin or lock up. Antec is 8 seconds behind on track, but that makes him 14 seconds behind because he has 6 seconds of penalties. And Jimanchuk is on 6th on track, but remember he pitted for the hards under the safety car, so he is not 6th. He is not 6th effectively. So I'm getting some screen lagging with his tyres there. There's a yellow flag, as that is Phaser spinning. And that makes his efforts to pass the Aston Martins now nullified, as he's got to make all that time back up again. And while I was on that, Quyll set the fastest lap. I think that was the first lap in the 136s. So he's clearly responded to the warning of Phosphor setting his own fastest lap. With the fastest lap of his own. So it seems like Quyll still does have the pace, even if it may not have seemed like that when he was getting caught up after he made his pit stop. Got Resching is only 1.4 behind Antec now on track, and he will have the confidence of knowing that he's in front effectively as well. There's also Jimanchuk and Pietrek, who are separated by only 3/10. And remember though that Jimanchuk's hards are a lot older though, so this should give Pietrek the advantage. If he can get the exit right out of here, we could see a battle into the hairpin, as we've got 60% of ERS left. Jimanchuk has 86, but it's no match for the DRS of the Williams. And then we're past. I think that was mostly unexpected pass, because obviously they are not racing for position effectively, since Jimanchuk has to pit again. He will probably pit for the mediums, but he might try. He might be holding out for a late safety car and pit for the softs, because that might be his only chance. Samelski has a 3-second time penalty, which, unless something happens to Phosphor, will probably put his hopes out of reach for second place. We've got an Alpha spinning out of that very hard corner to get traction on, especially if you're on the curb. Maybe he did go on the curb a little bit. Managed to... oh, he's pitting. I think he might have got damage there. Yeah, he did get damaged. I think he's locked up a bit there. So he might have got damaged, but this might be a planned pit stop, obviously, because he was going to go onto the mediums, like I mentioned before. Yeah, they are replacing the wing though, so it might have forced him to pit a little bit earlier than he previously wanted to, and he'll obviously have the extra 5 seconds or so that it takes for them to replace the front wing, so that's not good for him. Resching is even closer to Antec now. You get, oh, he's got a bit twitchy on the acceleration there. Only got 20% ERS left. Antec has 35. We're gonna go on spectator cam here. Yeah, I think Antec either is on a lower downforce setup or he's using some of that ERS, as he's managed to stay ahead there. I feel like this move is imminent, so I'm going to stay on board with McLaren as we head towards the first corner, because I feel like we could see a battle through the S's there. There's also Laggy Racer and Mackie going for it into the hairpin. I believe that there's also Camelons coming onto the back of that battle, so just after, if there's no battle between these two, we'll be going over to those three soon. The DRS is open. There's a yellow flag in sector 3. Jimanchuk's got another 3-second time penalty. So this race is much, has very much not gone to plan compared to Quyll, as Resching has got the move done. Yeah, there's not going to be much way to fight back, especially in this kind of S section. We'll now move to the trio who were battling in the third sector last lap. So we've got, ooh, really close to contact. That's great wheel to wheel battling there to not make contact. But we have Mackie, and then the two who were going for it there are Laggy Racer and Camelons. We might if ERS. No, I don't think we're going to get a 3-wide moment, because Laggy Racer has the most ERS by quite a margin out of a lot of them. I reckon if Camelons can sit in the slipstream, we could see a 3-wide moment here, as he gets quite goes quite tight into that corner. So the 5% of ERS that he does have is being burned right now, but the DRS of the Mercedes plus the existence of ERS in the Mercedes is going to mean that we're going to get a third-person view here of a battle into the hairpin, as the Mercedes runs them out of room, and that might give Camelons a run on Mackie into the next corner, leaving a good amount of space here. I'm really impressed with the wheel-to-wheel conduct there. I say that and then he goes for a move like that. No, that was Queen 2. I just got a bit of a heart attack when I saw him diving like that. This battle could put Laggy Racer out of the DRS. Yeah, I think it will. These two might have just shot themselves in the foot by battling here, because they might not be in the DRS anymore. No, it looks like they are in the DRS though, as this battle's going to continue for another lap. The Ferrari is flashing red to show he's out of ERS, but there are no moves to be made at the first corner. They're going to stay on board, as Demanchuk has set the fastest lap, so he's clearly still got pace. He has just maybe not been able to keep the consistency up throughout the whole race, because we've had a few spins. He's had, well, we still don't know what happened to him under the safety car, whether it was his fault or not, but things have really just not gone the way of Jimanchuk after his very impressive showing in qualifying. Let's see. Resching has been passed by Antec. Did he get passed? No, I think I moved off this battle to focus on the trio who might be going at it again. If Mackie is prepared to make the dive, he's going to take the sensible way out and maybe not go for the move just yet, but he could go for it on the first corner. This is the good thing about this track, you've got to weigh up your options of which overtaking spot is best. Antec's got another 3-second time penalty. So I mean, if I was Resching, I'd just be sitting behind and letting 4th place come to me, because that seems to be the safest option for him at the moment. Aston Martin's going quite wide there. Laggy Racer's got a 3-second time penalty. So at the moment, Mackie is winning out of this trio effectively, but he would still want to get this battle done on track, because that's what racers are like. He's not really able to make any inroads there. Now, Camelons will probably have more desperation to go after the Merc, because he knows that he has a time penalty too, so they are racing each other on track now. I'll get the penalties up on penalties. Yeah, everybody with penalties is on 3 seconds except for Antec on 9 seconds and Jimanchuk on 6 seconds. Jimanchuk's position would not be affected by that. Resching has got past. It doesn't really matter though, because he was past on penalties already. And I don't think Resching will really be able to catch Samelski, because it's 12 seconds, and you know, unless something does happen to Samelski, I don't think 12 seconds is doable in that amount of time. I don't think they're going to any more pit stops, so I don't really see the necessity of having the tyre info up. So I'm going to keep it on the penalties, because it could be what decides 5th, 6th or even 7th place. We will stay with this trio though, because they are by far the closest ones on the track at the moment. Camelons is still out of ERS though, so maybe ERS management is going to come back to bite him if he does end up having to make moves on the straight. He won't have the ERS to back him up. It seems to be all over the back of the Mercedes, but it'll all be told on this straight how well he can do on move up onto his onboard. Nope, we're going to move down. Hell, we moved the wrong way. As we got 2 3-second time penalties, I think that was. Yeah, one for Crush 50, one for Pietrek. I believe Antec has had a spin. He must have had a spin, yeah. Or, yeah, he must have had a spin, because he's now from on track 3rd or 4th down to 6th. So now, time penalties could be deciding. Whoa, maybe. Well, time penalties will now be affecting this trio doubly, because they will now. Well, they won't know it at the moment because they can't see him on their OSDs. But now Antec is in reach for these guys. I'm not ready to do the maths with all those decimal points to the thousandth now, but I mean they could already be ahead of him on penalties. I think Mackie certainly is. I'm not sure about the guys with the penalties already. Before they go onto the straight again, back to the gap at the front. It is now 6.2 seconds. So all Curly needs to really do is bring it home now. It's now effectively 8.5 seconds from 2nd to 3rd. So equally, 2nd place can just bring it home now, because I don't think 1st is really in reach for him. As Antec is pitting, maybe he realised he was out of the points and is just going for fastest lap now. As we have the Ferrari is going to go for it into the first corner. It's quite an angle. That's quite an angle to go for it from, but the Mercedes is trying to go for the switchback. He's going to hang it around the outside into the first of the S's. And the Mercedes has managed to keep the position with quite impressive levels of racecraft there as they come round to lap Maverick, who I don't think is in control of his car, because he's either disconnected or is lagging a lot. Yeah, these three are giving us quite exciting racing and quite a generally spaced out race, so we're going to stick on them. Someone count how many times I've said this trio over the course of the stream, because it must be in double figures now. As we're going to see Camelons going for it on Laggy Racer. Are we? No, he's going to hold it out until the first corner. Maybe his lack of ERS, like I said, is coming back to haunt him a little bit, because of the fact that he just doesn't have that extra boost to back him up if he's trying to go for a move with the DRS. As you can see, the Mercedes has 33%. Aston has 19%, and there's a yellow flag. I think it's the Alpha Tauri. Yeah, he seems to be just picking up the pace again now. That was Zanon, I think, having a spin. Let's see. So they're also coming up to lap Chimera, who I believe is in the same situation as Maverick, which is a bit of a shame. You know, it's not really anyone's fault if you're lagging, it's your computer's fault, so I do feel for these guys who are not able to race just because either the game or the servers or their PCs are just being a little bit bad. At least we have not had any desync issues, as the Ferrari has made a bit of a hash of this S's section, and they might allow... did he have an illegal overtake there? I think he might have had an illegal overtake. But that might have allowed Laggy Racer to finally get clear. No, they asked it as there's another spin for Zaron. That's 2 spins in 2 laps for Zaron. That's not good from him. And I think these guys might be a little bit too spaced out now to properly go for it on each other. But the Aston's out of ERS 2. We might see a dive bomb here, but Laggy Racer might be clear because, as we saw in the last lap, he has been the best at saving his ERS throughout the race. We'll see what he's on now. Maybe he has used a bit more to get ahead. Yeah, he's still got the most out of all of them. Phaser has actually caught up to these guys, so it's now a group of 4. If Zaron can get back on track and not be spinning all the time, it might be a 5 going into the final 4 laps of the race. But the Alpine is now plagued by the same problem as the Aston and the Ferrari of having a very small supply of ERS. Like if the Mercedes makes a mistake though, that will bunch them all right up in the S's. But the Aston is quite close to the back of Laggy Racer as we come into the first corner. Doesn't look like Zaron's really going to be able to catch, so we're going to have to stick with this group of 4. 4 now. The gap at the front's come down a little bit as Camelons has made a mess of that, and we might get to see some side-by-side action in the S's if the switchback can work. It will. That might have been another corner cutting warning though. Don't be using ERS in this situation, lad. Oh. Yes, the detection zone is already passed, so he can go for it now and still get the DRS. As Camelons is now going to come back at him with the DRS, but it will be the Alpine who has the DRS. Oh, that was such a good camera angle for the situation. As we're going to get them going side by side into the hairpin. Phaser runs Camelons out of road. As the 2 in front, I think the Aston was just about close enough, but decided not to go for anything too risky this late into the race. So we've got, this is a great battle between Camelons, and Antec's got another time penalty. That's not good from him. Still won't affect his position. What am I talking about? Zaron's lapped. It won't be a group of 5. I thought we might get another bit in this battle. It's a very early apex from Camelons, who is still not really able to save any ERS, but understandable now that he's in an actual wheel-to-wheel battle. Goes to the outside. That really didn't need that angle. Any other camera angle would have sufficed. Oh, is Phaser spinning? That should secure at least 9th for Camelons. Jimanchuk has got back up into the points on track, but obviously he has his 6 seconds, so Phaser is still set for 1 point. Well, but now he has got a 3-second time penalty, so it might be up for grabs now. Who else is close together? Anybody other than Madeline? Nope. As we go into the final 3 laps, I'll just run you through the order again. We've got Curley, Tostifer, Samelski with 3 seconds, Resching with 11. No, I was reading the delta there. Then it's Resching, then it's Pietrek, Kicklin, Laggy Racer, Mackie, who's still close behind the Merc, Camelons, who's 10 it on his own now after getting caught up in the spin for the Alpine. Unfortunately, I was on his POV, so we can't get the Alpine's POV on stream. Then it's Jimanchuk, Phaser, Antec, Zaron, Crush 50, Chimera and Maverick. Now the latter 2 of which I don't think are in the race anymore because of disconnection issues. Now, speaking of the battle for 4th, which doesn't look like a battle for 4th, but no, I was getting mixed up with a... I thought that was the delta to the leader. We should see the delta to the leader, actually, that would be interesting. Yeah, it goes 5 seconds, then 13.25. Only 4 people within 30 seconds. That's how dominant this top 2 and kind of top 3 have been. Then it's 43, 49, 50, 54, 57, 58, and then I think after that they've probably been lapped. Well, there's 1 minute 3, 1 minute 22, but they are pretty much just about to get lapped. As Zaron sets the fastest lap, he might not get a point for it, but he might take a point away from someone else. I believe it was Jimanchuk who had the previous fastest lap. But this lap will be the last chance anybody has to pit for fastest lap, so we might be seeing some late pit stops from the bottom 6 to get that fastest lap off of someone else. Just for the pride as well. Obviously, if you're in the top 10, you've got no points to gain, so why not just go for the fastest lap? Mackie and the Mercedes are still naturally quite close together. There's a spin for Jimanchuk again. That's not good from him. This day just kind of hasn't gone his way in many fields. What is Jimanchuk doing? Like, what is he actually doing? Maybe he was just letting him through because, you know, I guess he's still ahead of Antek on penalties unless he gets 2 more penalties to himself. So it should not matter too much. Going to get back on board with Laggy Racers. He might make a dive. It's going to be getting desperate. But if he wants any chance of getting 3 seconds ahead, he's got to make the move now, and then hope that Mackie can make a racing incident error that doesn't affect him, but it's his fault. So Camelons gets another 3-second time penalty, which might put him in danger of being overtaken by Phaser for 10th. Yeah, I think Jimanchuk's pitting again, so we might be seeing a fastest lap on the last lap from him. So Mercedes goes quite deep into that corner. Obviously, just for fun, we want to see overtakes on track, so even though the penalties have pretty much decided this already, we will see the Mercedes wanting to make an on-track move to get 7th place, and he's going to make said move into the hairpin. But the Alpha's not the Alpha, the Aston is going to try a switchback. Can't quite do it though, so it's now the Merc in front. But obviously, like I said, these people, they don't want to lose on track, even if the penalties are going to have the final say. Now, I am not forgetting about Jimanchuk. I'm going to be spectating him once the winners cross the line, and once these two cross the line, to see if he can get that fastest lap. As Mercedes has made an error in the second last corner, that is going to give Mackie the confidence to go for it into the first corner again. He's got some ERS. The Mercedes is gradually going down in his supply, but this is the last lap, so that won't matter too much. Not quite able to make a move into the first corner, but there's still 1 big overtaking spot to go, and then there is the last corner where a dive bomb might be tempting if it's the last corner of the race. As Mackie gets a 3-second time penalty, this has blown the race for 7th wide open, because now they are both. Who just joined the call and left? I'm trying to commentate, lad. Oh, there's a twitch. There's a twitch at that corner for the Aston. But now they both have equal time penalties, so this is for position now. Crush 50 gets another 3-second time penalty. Curley has crossed the line to win. Has driven convincingly all day long. That's a deserved win. Fosterfer gets an equally deserving 2nd place. Those two have really been untouchable all races. The Aston is fully out of ERS now. We're going to stay on this battle for 7th, even though I probably should have shifted away for the winner. Samelski does get 3rd in the end. That's looked certain from the start as well. That top 3 have really... they've just set them into us, going for it into the really deep corner. Is the Aston? There's contact. I think there's contact. But that was a very cheeky move there. As now, and maybe there was illegal overtakes involved as well, because the Merc seemed to let him through at the wide corner. That's going to end. Oh, as Laggy Racer has spun. That's going to be there's probably going to be some questions asked about that in the driver chat, as Quyll is 6th, Mackie is 7th. Fraser is 8th, Laggy Racer is 9th on track. We might be seeing some penalties. Camelons rounds out the points, and Tech is 11th for now, but we'll see what happens with the penalties. Zaron will come home 12th, as I say. He might be getting promoted on penalties depending on how Antec's penalties will affect him. He is still 12th. We're going to see if Jumanchuk can get the final fastest lap. I did say that that's exactly what he's doing. He might be getting compromised with the lap car a little bit here. And I don't know if he got the fastest lap, because I don't know if it tells you on the final one. I know it would tell me if I'm in spectator mode. Yeah, the two disconnectors are obviously going to finish in the bottom 2 spots. I mean, quite enjoyed that race. I think there was not too much battling for the lead except the directly after the safety car restart, but overall we had the guys in the middle giving us battles all day long. And yeah, that's it. Look at those penalties though. This is quite a bad track for penalties, but I think we need to be maybe up in these stands a bit. Zaron does get the fastest lap. Jumanchuk was 2/10 off, so quite close. No cigar. Crush 50 was lapped along with Fitter and Maverick. Matusiak and Dormati were the only 2 DNFs. Yeah. I hope to be back next week for more commentary. This was my first attempt at commentary, and now I'm going to need to work out how to turn the stream off. Let's see. OBS. Oh god. Goodness, I don't have Wodge holding my hand through this whole process now, so I'm going to have to work this out on my own.